going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. It's been a couple weeks since we had a nice new episode here for you, and we're back. Had a nice little 1,000 follower special video as well as a Dynamite recap like we usually do, and we're back here with another Dynamite recap for you guys. Of course, you're watching this on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button down there below. Press the notification bell so you know each and every time a new video is uploaded. Joining me tonight, as always, because we record these right after Dynamite, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Jimmy Jam, James Beatley. Sir, how the hell are you doing?
I am good, my friend. Another pretty solid show on tap tonight. Let's just get right into the show, why don't we?
Absolutely. So, in case you guys don't know, there's a new wrestler on the scene, formerly known as Rusev. The now Miro is in All Elite Wrestling, and he teamed up as the best man that he is, the best man. Teamed up with Superbad Kip Sabian as they went up against the team of Joey Janela and Kip Sabian. Where I kind of seen that Jim Cornette is, he's filing a cease and desist letter to AEW because I guess they want to call themselves the New Midnight Express or something. I don't know. Anyway, it don't matter. Kip Sabian and Miro defeated them. Miro used his camel clutch of submission there to get the win. Hopefully he's not hurt. That ankle was definitely giving him some fits there. I think I missed when it happened. Not sure if he landed on it weird or if there was a move that happened and he got hurt with it. Not 110% sure, but either way, it looks like he was definitely a little ginger on that leg. That'd be a horrible way to come in your first match in AEW. You get hurt. So hopefully he's good. But a good way for Miro to come into the company, get a win under his belt, being Kip Sabian's best man, being the best man in AEW. So what was your thoughts on this whole segment here?
Yeah, I saw several people on social media complaining, saying that they wish Miro would have had a singles debut to kind of make his name. But I thought it was actually a good way to get him some action, some time back in the ring. It's been a while since he has been in a match. I mean, even dating back to when he was in WWE, he wasn't used for quite a while before he got released. So I like the match. I like that they're integrating Miro with Kip Sabian. It's a weird pairing, but I think they're both big on Twitch or whatnot, and it's just one of them kind of like weird tag teams that I don't think they're like officially a tag team, but they work together. So I mean, let it be what it is. Miro looked pretty good in the ring, and then I believe Sonny Kiss and Janela was going to go by the name the new Midnight Express. Not a big fan of the name, and obviously it is a dig at Jim Cornette because he used to manage the Midnight Express and all the back and forth banter that goes on with Cornette and Joey Janela. I believe Cornette has gone out and called him like Joey Nutella or something like that. It's just stupid games that they play. And yeah, I don't get the name. Don't really get the tag team. I wish Janela could be a singles guy. I think he works better as a singles guy in a more hardcore or no rules environment is kind of where he fits best. But the match in general, I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, solid way to open the show. But great to see Miro back in the ring. It's been a minute since we got to see him perform. And just as a quick fun fact, when I had my Subaru, I named it Ruru after Rusev. So Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that piece of crap car, man. That was I'm surprised you fit in it, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure that thing was like a low rider. Uh, but hey, you made it work, right? You made it work. Yeah, Joey Janela has a few enemies out there in the wrestling business. Not only Jim Cornette, Enzo. Enzo hates Joey Janela. I guess that they were at a fight or they're at a concert and they got into a fight or whatever. And now Enzo refers to Joey Janela as Joey Geneva. Take it as you will. I don't know. I'm so horrible of a person because it's been a wild, wacky day, week, whatever you want to call it. We have some unfortunate news that hit this morning. Some real unfortunate news. Road Warrior Animal sadly passed away unexpectedly and tragically this morning. And I believe it came a day after he and his wife's anniversary. So that kind of stings a little more. So thoughts and prayers go out to Joe's family. That's definitely a devastating loss in the wrestling business. He was only 60 years old, man. That's way gone way too soon. Even stumbling my sentences because it's devastating. Of course, all the tributes were outpouring on social media. NXT and AEW both had a tribute to begin the show. Very classy touch, of course. Thunder Rosa tonight actually wore her makeup or face paint, excuse me, in tribute to Road Warrior Animal. So cool things for the tributes, but it is, of course, devastating and saddening that Road Warrior Animal is no longer with us here on this earth. But hey, he is finally reunited with the original Road Warriors with him and Hawk up there in heaven. They're having a hell of a tag team match right now with just about anybody that has tragically passed away and gone way too soon than they should have in the wrestling business. But boy, heaven has got just a heck of a roster going on up there. Kind of jealous. But hey, we're in the now and the present. So getting on to Eddie Kingston with a fantastic promo building up for him and Moxley's match later on this evening. This was a very wild show. We had everything built up and booked up a couple of days ago. We're supposed to be the six-man tag between Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, and Lance Archer against Moxley, Darby Allin, and Will Hobbs. Archer tested positive for COVID-19 after coming into contact with a family member who fell ill. He got sick and tested positive for it. So hopefully he will have a good, speedy recovery, has only mild symptoms, and he can get back in that ring very soon. So they changed basically quite a bit of this whole show. Instead, we get Moxley, Eddie Kingston for the AEW World Title later on that night, or tonight. Eddie Kingston delivered a great promo saying that he's been waiting 18 years for this opportunity. He's worked hard for this 18 years, so he deserves this opportunity. Great promo, of course, to build up for that match later on in the evening. And then we get to Hangman Page versus Evil Uno. Weird matchup. Don't really see Evil Uno as a singles wrestler, even if he does have the number one in his name. Of course, Adam Page wins. Pretty good match. This was actually a little bit longer of a match than I thought it would. I wonder if that's because there was just not a whole lot built on the show. Since they had to rewrite it, they just wanted to give out some of the match times a little bit longer to kind of fill in for the times there. I don't know. But overall, it's a good match. Hangman Page does get the win. Of course, Kenny Omega was on commentary. This is leading to a match at Full Gear, in my opinion, between Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Eventually, it's going to come to where Kenny hasn't had a singles match, I believe, since they lost the tag team titles at All Out. Hangman Page has had a couple, and Kenny Omega's been on commentary for both. So I wonder if roles will reverse when Omega's wrestling in singles action if Hangman Page is on commentary. Either way, interesting. The storyline is playing out to where I think Omega is going to betray Hangman or something like that and attack him and bring him back to cleaner. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that and Page versus Uno?
Yeah, it's a weird match. With Uno, you don't necessarily see him as a singles guy. He is a pretty talented wrestler though, but you kind of think of him more as a tag team. And it was a good match, and it was definitely, I would say, longer than I would have expected it to be. And they filled their time well. It's I don't know where this feud leads. you have Hangman that wants to kind of, if possible, continue the tag team, and then Omega is basically like, I'm going for the title. I want to be a singles guy again. I want to focus on getting the AEW title, and it's weird, and I it's one of them things that it's building up really slow, but it's not. It's, in my opinion, they're building it up a little bit too slow, because I'm still kind of confused on what's going on, what's happening, and are they still a tag team? Are they not? And I kind of want to know that answer. Obviously, because I love both of them as competitors, and two, I mean, if they break up, then I might be able to get Kenny Omega off the waiver wire on our fantasy AEW league, but who knows? It was a decent match. It's weird. I love Omega on commentary. He brings a different style of commentary compared to other guests like Jericho or who's on the show. And overall, pretty good, solid match. And then just to go back to what you said, beginning of this segment, condolences out to the man, Road Warrior Animal. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, because the longer time goes, the people that we grew up admiring and watching are passing on, and I don't know. You just don't have. In my opinion, the legends of the past. You can't remake them. They're legends, and they're awesome. And prayers out to his family. And there will never be another team like the Road Warriors. They were a pretty special team. But yeah, even though I didn't get to watch them a lot because I was growing up as their career was kind of coming towards the end, they were still a cool team, and I remember several matches with them. And prayers out to his family.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. That's the sad thing about it, is these guys and gals that we've grown up watching over the years, especially during the Monday Night Wars, because we were both born in the mid to late 90s, that unfortunately, this part of life, they're going to pass on. But especially with people like, Ultimate Warrior, now Animal, Hawk was even one, Hennig was one. Just people that are gone way, way too soon. Owen Hart, Benoit, and all this stuff, and Eddie Guerrero. So you don't expect these people to die so soon. Your heroes, these people you look up to and you see every week on TV that are larger-than-life characters and are there to entertain you, and you get so invested into the people, the character you want to know. You want to get behind the scenes and know who they are as a real person, as a general person, as a genuine person. And so, thank you for interrupting my podcast. Appreciate that, jackass. So yeah. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, part of life, I'm probably going to be devastated and not going to want to do a podcast for 3 weeks when Steve Borden, the man known as Sting, meets his creator, Jesus Christ. But we don't talk about that. Anyways, let's move on. And let's go to the Young Bucks, who had a promo here where, Matt Jackson, I believe, or Nick Jackson, basically shattered Tony Schiavone's spell. The Young Bucks, this whole different character is weird. I'm anxious to see where it leads to, what happens. I'm liking it so far, but I want to see more. That's what's good about it. You're wanting more, so hopefully we'll see more of that. And then we get to Orange Cassidy versus Mr. Brody Lee for the TNT Championship. Once again, this match went a little bit longer than I thought it would. And like I said, I think this was just the fact that they kind of had to rewrite the show pretty much last minute. And this is how, what, guys, let's feature a little more wrestling, a little more promos, this week, and just kind of go from there. There's only a total of 5 matches on this card, where there's been 6 or 7 before on Dynamites, and each match had a pretty good pace to them, and also had a good match length to them as well. So good matchup between Cassidy and Brody Lee. Of course, Brody Lee can retain the TNT Championship. And so I don't know, and I pointed this out to you while we were watching the show that I thought the stage looked a little bit different this week. For those of you that are subscribed to the Cody community group text, he texted you that he had a picture of his GPS. It was from Macon, Georgia, where he lives, to Daly's Place in Jacksonville, where, of course, AEW is being filmed, broadcasted at. And this was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was going to put him there like at 9 o'clock. And I'm like, uh-oh, maybe we're seeing the return of Cody here on Dynamite. And people that have watched this podcast know I'm not the biggest fan of his character. But as soon as I saw that stage, I'm like, something looks off about that stage. They added something to it. Sure enough, it was like a little platform that somebody could get raised up from there. And of course, that's Cody's entrance. And after the match, lights go out, smoke fills up. The new Titantron for Cody pops up. The same prelude song, and then his actual song comes on, and Cody with a new look, all black hair, black suit, black tie, black pants. And I mean, he absolutely destroyed everybody in the Dark Order except for Brody Lee. He got away. Wow. Good return. Welcome back, Cody. Nice to see you, sir. Interested to see where this goes. Obviously, Brody Lee put out the promo that basically he challenged Cody to a dog collar match. I have not seen a dog collar match. I'm sure there's been one before this, but the one that I can really remember was 1999 at WCW Uncensored, I believe, between Jericho and Perry Saturn. I'm sure there's been one before that. Somebody's going to correct me on that. But interesting little segment here. Welcome back, Cody. But you're wearing the Cody shirt tonight. So it goes to show you that I guess I'm a contradictory person. But it was an interesting segment, from the match to the reappearance of Cody to jumping into the promo with Brody Lee, challenging him to that match. Very good stuff, though. I liked it.
Yeah, it was. We'll go back to start with where we started there with the Young Bucks. Again, another kind of thing where it's like I kind of want to know a little bit more of where this is headed. I really don't know. I mean, obviously, it looks like they're going to bring the Young Bucks heel, and Kenny Omega will eventually get to go heel. So maybe we'll see a heel elite team. I don't know what we see there, or what even happens with that. And then we get into this match with OC and Brody Lee. And I thought, the past couple of months, Orange Cassidy has really took a lot of, he's done a lot of work in the ring, a lot more than, we maybe were to expect it from him. And he just puts on quality matches with whoever he works with. Obviously, Brody Lee gets the win, and rightfully so. The Dark Order, let me tell you, I don't know, when they first started, if you remember back in I can't remember when they kind of made their official debut. I think it may have been All Out before was it 2019, before they made their TV deal or whatnot, and the Minions and all of them came out, and we had no idea what the hell that was for. I wasn't a big fan of the team. They got that big push, like they got a title opportunity right away, and it made no sense, and they kind of went away for a while, and then they really rebuilt this team. And ever since that rebuild, and then even with Brody Lee coming in, kind of being like the leader of the team, I love every aspect of the Dark Order now. They have the ability to make this stable kind of last longer than most stables last. You take a look at some main stables in wrestling history, like the Four Horsemen, and you look at DX and Evolution, and even the Authority to a minor portion in WWE. They kind of had their moments, and then especially like Evolution and the Authority, they kind of just died out. They couldn't withstand the pace of time. And then every now and again you get those comebacks, but they couldn't like withstand. And I think the Dark Order has this mystique that about them that it doesn't necessarily have to be the same group for multiple years. You can have people leave and come and go and join the Dark Order and leave the Dark Order, and I don't know, it can last for a while. I feel like it's kind of, in my opinion, the AEW version of what LIJ or Bullet Club is in New Japan, where people can come and go, and if they leave AEW, they can get kicked out of the Dark Order or whatever, and they have just multiple opportunities to do with what they got to do. The fact that they have added a woman to the mix, the Dark Order could run every division in AEW if they wanted to, and so I really love that how they've built the Dark Order from last year to a year later where it's at now. And Brody Lee obviously gets a good win over Orange Cassidy. And I don't even know what to talk about Cody. It's just he brought his hairstyle back 10 years. And I don't know. It's just a mystique factor. Kind of interested to see what happens with Cody. I kind of really don't want to see him get the AEW or the TNT title again, though. It's kind of feel like a wasted opportunity for Cody to build this character. And then, I mean, he really would be the John Cena of AEW if he won that and then just had his open challenge every week. So, add to your point that you made several weeks ago that he was the John Cena of AEW. But yeah, solid couple segments there. And I would say that of all of the show, it wasn't great. It wasn't perfect, but it was solid, good enough to keep a show going and build towards next week and towards the next pay-per-view, which is at the beginning of November, I believe. So, I mean, we're trucking along to full gear. So, I mean, that's what the show is meant to do, build storylines and keep going on to the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, though, especially with the whole aspect of the Dark Order, they were basically just a crappy team that nobody cared about. And then they slowly started adding some of these recruits, and it's like, okay, and they started building towards the Exalted One. Obviously, Brody Lee is the leader of the group now, and it's just changed this group's output and outlook 180, 300,000 degrees, basically. I mean, now this is one of the more legit factions in AEW for sure. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson are a good tag team. 5 and 10 aren't too bad, and you got John Silver or Alex Reynolds. Just and overall, just a great team, great faction, and adding Anna Jay, who in my opinion is one of the top females in the women's division right now. Obviously, Statlander's hurt. Some of the other gals aren't here still. But talk about a person who took a ball and ran with it. This was her opportunity. She debuted in Dynamite, I believe, in April. And here she is, not only as transforming her character, but now in the Dark Order, taking control, being that really strong female presence, a strong presence in general. It's not really about being a female. It's a very good aspect to have in the group for sure. But she's dominating, man. She's winning matches. She's a legit character. She embraces that heel role. She looks good as being a heel. I'm not sure if her star of the show thing was a heel character. I'm sure it kind of was. But her transforming her outfit, her makeup, her whole character has transformed, and it fits her well. And I think she is one of the better characters in the women's division by a long shot. So kudos to the writing staff. Kudos to the Dark Order for making this work and transforming their whole group. It's all about winning, and that's what Brody Lee is putting emphasis into this group. It's about winning. You need to win, and when you don't win, you get punished. And that's what I like to see is a guy that takes control over winning. Moving on, though, we get to Matt Hardy and the Private Party, talking about the Inner Circle, the hatred for the Inner Circle. Of course, Jericho comes out, proud and powerful. Hager, the whole Inner Circle. Sammy Guevara comes back, and then Mark Quinn was kind of talking to Jericho, and then Isaiah Cassidy took the mic and challenged Jericho to a match next week at Dynamite. And I believe it is made official now. It will be Jericho versus Isaiah Cassidy next week on Dynamite. Then we get Tully Blanchard in the ring with FTR. They're doing a promo saying how they're going to try to bring back the 20-minute challenge where you face a team. You got 20 minutes. If it goes to 20 minutes, it's not a draw for either team. It automatically becomes a loss for the other team and a win for FTR. So kind of an old school thing there. Best friends come out. They wanted to challenge FTR right then and there. They kind of scared away. And yeah, so interesting how this whole 20-minute thing will go about. I think that'll be interesting, an old school thing to come back there. Tully Blanchard, give me those fantasy points. Appreciate that, sir. And then we get to the only women's match, of course, on the card. They need more women's matches, especially for Anna Jay, to build up that character. I think would help so much. Get her off of this dark stuff. I get you're trying to make sure she's comfortable with the character and the whole way of it. Get this woman on Dynamite, man. She will take off. I promise you. Only women's match on the card: Ivelisse and Diamante versus NWA Women's World Champ Thunder Rosa and AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, Thunder Rosa did come out with a face paint that was a tribute to Animal. Very cool for that. Thunder Rosa and Shida get the win here. I'm telling you, man, that whole thing with Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa last week was real. It carried into this week, man. They were laying in some shots for sure. So there's some bad blood between those two. While it can create some good television, at the same time, it can create very bad television if they get out of hand. So I think AEW needs to be careful about how to go about that. If they want to turn to a storyline, they need to sit both of them down and be like, hey, listen, while Thunder Rosa's here, if we're going to keep this going, Ivelisse, you got to work with her. You both got to work together. It can be some stiff shots for sure, but don't hurt each other. But good match overall. Good couple segments there with the promos, battles going back and forth there. Setting up a couple different things for the next couple weeks for Dynamite. So interesting few segments there for sure. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, I don't. A thing I love about FTR. We go back to them for a minute. I love how they're bringing back old, and they're mentioning old school things from tag team wrestling in the past or wrestling in general from the past. I kind of like this 20-minute rule thing. I can't quite remember what they called it, but they announced that their first opponent that they choose, because they get to choose who they fight, is SCU. I think that's next week. I love this little, stipulation, this little thing that they're doing here. It'll allow for tag team wrestling to shine. I think that's where AEW is at their best, is when they allow their tag team division to shine. But I also agree, we move on to the women's match. They need to let that women's division shine a little bit more, while keeping tag team wrestling a pretty big focus. I had a thought process throughout this whole show, like, we haven't seen one women's match all night, and I love the women's wrestling and as a whole. I'm not a big fan of what WWE is going to be doing with like the Queen of the Ring and Evolution and like female only pay-per-views. I feel like it was started as something that had good intentions, but obviously WWE is just doing this as a way of like, hey, let's just give you, an all-woman pay-per-view to shut the fans up, is basically what they did. And I feel like AEW just needs to focus a little bit more, maybe not coddle to like any specific movement, but like showcase what your women can do. You have very talented women on the roster, and for most of them not even to show up, even with the depleted roster that they have. Swole never was on the show. I don't think she's been on the show since All Out, maybe the week after. Britt Baker's wasn't there. You get 1 10-minute segment. I think it's maybe less tonight, and that's it in a 2-hour show. And I get it's 2 hours, and you have a bunch of things that you want to put out on this show, and I don't know. It feels like that's their weakest link at this point. And the only way to grow it is to let them have a little bit more time and to show what these people can do. And I agree. You have Anna Jay, who is probably one of the most underrated talents that they have, and she can't really develop her character because she doesn't really have a lot of time. She's not getting a lot of Dynamite presence. She gets a lot of dark stuff, and I understand dark is important to storylines, but not everybody watches dark, or if they do, they watch it weeks after it airs, or they watch it late, and they're not always fully up to par with who's going on. Um, and I don't know. I just wish that they would grow that division because they have the potential they have the talent to have one of the top female rosters divisions in all of wrestling. At this point, some say it's Impact Wrestling. Some say WWE has the most talented group. I'm not there to start or finish an argument on that, but AEW on paper has just as talented of a roster as any group. Just they're not able to show it. They're not able to showcase their stuff, and it sucks that they're limited to 2 hours a week. But AEW, they just need to be able to plan, maybe not every episode, but every other episode, every third episode. Let's give a pretty good portion of time dedicated to that women's division. And I don't know. That's something I really want to see. Otherwise, that tag team match, very good. I love the work that Ivelisse and Diamante have, the chemistry that they have. And the camera work in this match was very awkward. There were some very weird, like, ass shots that I don't know if they were like planned or if the camera was just out of position. But it felt awkward. But overall, the match, the in-ring work, solid. It's weird to see some of those stiff shots between Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa. And I kind of get where Thunder Rosa's coming from. She takes her title seriously, and she felt like Ivelisse wasn't selling, wasn't giving it the proper respect. So but to me though, you give her a receipt and then you drop it. But it continued on into this week too. So good match. I think it was a solid match, and then it helps develop this storyline, but they don't really have another women's storyline to develop as of now. And that's something that they really, in my opinion, need to build on in the future with Dynamite in the women's division.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week, Britt Baker will be coming back to Dynamite, so maybe we'll get a more of a second storyline going on with the women, especially as we're starting to get building these storylines up for Full Gear. That's happening, I believe, November the 7th. So we're about a month and a half away, a little bit less. So definitely going to start building up those storylines for sure. And we'll see what Britt Baker has in store for next week for the women's division, and see what happens between Hikaru Shida, if Thunder Rosa comes back, Ivelisse, Diamante, Serena Deeb is now a member of the roster, Anna Jay, all these characters. Interested to see where this goes from here. Jericho and MJF, or Jericho has a promo and basically accepted Isaiah Cassidy's request for the match for next week. MJF comes in, and they're basically just going back and forth, and these guys are gold on the mic. Anytime you get Jericho and MJF in a promo or in the same camera angle, same segment, it's always good television, so I appreciated that. And MJF is looking for a group, so maybe he's kind of sucking up to Jericho so he can join the Inner Circle or something of that nature. So it's something to keep an eye on for sure, to see what happens between Inner Circle or Jericho and MJF in the near future. And then we get to our main event, the AEW World Title match between Eddie Kingston and the champ, Jon Moxley. Physical match. Physical match. These guys kind of have the same background, came from different areas. Eddie Kingston, he has said that he's worked hard 18 years to get this opportunity, and Moxley went to the sports entertainment world, and Eddie Kingston took advantage to tell that to the people in his promo earlier this evening, get Moxley all riled up, and these two went back and forth for a good while. Physical matchup, intense matchup. I enjoyed it. It was a good match. Eddie Kingston proved that he can be a main event player and obviously has the mic skills and the promo skills and the mouth to do it. He's got the arrogance, I believe, to do it, but can put all together with the in-ring product as well. I think tonight showed how he can do that, how he can step up to the plate, in a very critical situation, calling somebody out of the bullpen to say, hey, man, this is your opportunity right here. And the storyline made sense, too, because he claims he wasn't thrown over the top rope in the Battle Royal at All Out. He wasn't, and Archer did. So it was a good way to kind of influence that into this. And now the winner of this match, which, of course, was Jon Moxley, he retains the title, goes on to face Archer for their anniversary show on October the 14th. Hopefully, Archer will be clear by then. He'll be good. He'll be healthy. Won't be sick anymore. He'll be passing COVID on to somebody else, maybe. Who knows? So yeah, that sets up that table for that. After the match, we get the Lucha Bros coming out. Will Hobbs comes out, and then Ricky Starks and Taz appear. Darby Allin comes out. Just a big schmoz at the end. The heels beat up baby faces, and they're standing tall. So the Lucha Bros, Taz, Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, they're all standing tall over Darby Allin, Will Hobbs, and Jon Moxley. Even though Will Hobbs didn't get his main event spotlight tonight, he appeared at the very last segment of the show, so it's good to keep his momentum going. He's been winning a lot of matches on Dark recently, so he's kind of building his reputation up for sure. Big guy, good-looking kid. Definitely got some athleticism to him. We got to put up his character a little bit more, I believe, and he'll definitely be a main event player for sure in AEW, but he's well on his way for sure. So I hate that his main event match got taken away for his first main event in Dynamite, but hey, definitely soon that opportunity will come knocking again, and he'll definitely be up there. So, yeah, talk about the last couple segments before we kind of wrap things up, man.
Yeah, it was the end of the show pretty strong, in my opinion. You come out here, and then that main event, when Eddie Kingston made his debut for that TNT title match. I'm gonna just be straight with you. I didn't know who he was. I am learning the independent scene, but I still don't know all the wrestlers on the independent scene. And there are some that come and I don't know who they are. And Eddie Kingston was one, but I love his mic skills. You can see that he's done this for a long, long time. And it's cool to see him finally get some recognition for all the work and dues that he's paid for the business. And that match was a pretty good match to end the show. I liked how, even though they had to change the match, that all the original members that, other than Archer, obviously, that were supposed to be in that event, still in some way, shape, or form had their segment at the end of the show. And so I like Will Hobbs. I think he's going to be a monster player in the near future for AEW. I like that they actually got him signed onto a contract and that he's with them for the next couple of years. Yeah, other than that, it ended up the show pretty well. It was still a very good show. Haven't really been a Dynamite that I could say I hated the show in general. There's some segments that I've maybe not understood or hated, but this is one of them where I was kind of in the middle and everything. It was like, there were some good, some bad, but mostly just decent, solid storytelling events that will push you into next week, and I can appreciate that. That's what they are there for, to entertain us, and they left us entertained tonight, I would say.
Absolutely, and I agree with you on that. Dynamite next week seems to be a good card, as always. It looks good on paper. Let's see if we can, of course, deliver again. Excited to see what these storylines happen. Britt Baker's coming back, of course, so what will happen with Cody and the Dark Order stuff, anything more with the women's division, Inner Circle, Matt Hardy, Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy, Jericho next week. Moxley will appear, of course. So just a bunch of good stuff going on here with AEW. Of course, we're heading towards full gear. Kind of make sure that we get on the right topic here. So the thumb game. What would you give Dynamite tonight? I'm going with the 1.5 thumb. 1.5 thumbs tonight. Very solid show. Very good show. Not great. Definitely not horrible. Not mediocre. Not 5-star quality, but right there. Kept me in tune. Kept me entertained. That's what it's all about. So, what about you? Where is your thumb game at tonight, sir?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you. I'll give it a 1.5. Like you said, it wasn't bad. It was definitely a very good show in terms of like story developing. The in-ring work wasn't like pay-per-view quality or go-home show quality. Um, wasn't their best show that they've put out, but it was still very good, still very entertaining, and I didn't hate it. Didn't absolutely adore it either, but it was still a solid show. Um, I mean, I can't complain. It's better than any other Wednesday night show on TV. So, I mean, well, maybe guys' grocery games, but yeah, I love it. It was a pretty good show. 1.5 fingers or Orange Cassidy's, whatever you want to call it. Um, they delivered pretty well tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Ran a poll on the old Twitter machine, of course, the Polsky, as always, as we do for these shows we record, and I throw up a poll for what you guys thought. Did you guys enjoy AEW Dynamite more? Did you enjoy NXT more? Did you enjoy both equally, or did you not enjoy either one of them? And 67% of the poll said that they enjoyed AEW more. 17% said they enjoyed NXT, 13% said they enjoyed both, and 4% said they enjoyed neither, which is interesting. I don't understand that. Put that up at the very end before. No, again, wait till we get to the end of the show to post that one. It is full. Yeah, so clearly on the Twitter poll, people liked AEW more. For the one that enjoyed neither, why? What made you not enjoy either one of the shows? I feel like there was some stuff on AEW I'm sure you liked, or NXT. I don't know. I didn't watch NXT, but people can never be pleased these days. It seems like I don't know. I don't get it. So, but yeah, that's the recap show, guys. That's recap for tonight. I'll let the man, the myth, the legend over there plug away his and podcast information, and of course we'll get to ours, and we'll get the show on the road. So, sir, plug away.
Plug away. I shall do. I have a podcast still. I haven't been on there in a while, but I promise I'll get it back going again. It's called the Taking the Bump podcast. You can find it on Anchor, Spotify. I believe that's about it until I can get this whole Apple podcast situation figured out. Because every other podcasting site uses the RSS feed of your Apple podcast to download everything else. So my Apple podcast is down. So I got to figure out why they won't accept me having a podcast on Apple Podcasts. But listen to it on Anchor or Spotify for now. I have some ideas of what I'm going to do with that show. Nothing solidified, but more details come. Follow me on Twitter at TheB Podcast for more information on that. I have a Facebook page, but no one looks at it, including myself. So if you want to follow that, Taking the Bumper podcast on Facebook, but mostly Twitter at TheB Podcast and ProWrestlingTees.com/TheB Podcast. You can find various logo T-shirts throughout the design history of the Taking the Bump podcast. I changed logos more than any company in the world. So, but other than that, I'll send it back to your man over there.
So, like I said, this man's crazy. But hey, that's okay. That's why we love him. That's why he's on the show. That's why he's a guest. That's why he's a friend of the show. Of course, guys, you can follow us on Twitter. We are definitely active on Twitter. And, of course, you can follow us at BtheC Pod 18, BtheC Pod 18. have a Facebook page, Beyond the Curtain Wrestling, or Beyond the Curtain Podcast. I don't do much on there at all besides just plug other stuff I do on Twitter and YouTube. Of course, you guys are watching this on YouTube, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. Get that subscribe number up, get the views up there, share the video, like the video, so that way people can watch a local guy with wrestling aspirations to talk about and love it. So there's that. Of course, we have a Pro Wrestling Tee Store, PWT.com/Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. A couple shirts are on there, of course, still the, of course, regular podcast logo, as well as the Yeah Buddy t-shirt. A little more expensive, but hey, made out of great quality, guys. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy the quality. You're going to love these shirts, and if you like it, that means that we're doing something good, right? For those sports fans out there, I have another podcast for that as well. I know my annoying voice you can never get enough of. I promise you. I'm going to be around to the day I die. I'm going to be posting a bunch of content, just trying to get my name out there, trying to get my brand out there. What's my brand? I don't know. I'll figure that part out later. Anyways, for you NFL fans, football fans, I got a podcast for that. It's called the Fight On Podcast, FO Podcast 2020. You guys can follow me on that. Once a week I post about that, recapping previous week games and then previewing the next week games, do some predictions and some stats as well. Fun podcast. So if you're interested in sports or if you want to learn more about it or just, I don't know, listen to a new podcast, do that. But other than that, guys, that will do it for us here on this week's episode of Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast, to the AEW Dynamite review. He's joining the Dark Order. I mean, you got to do the hand thing, right? What the hell's the thing? The little stupid claw thing? I don't know what the hell is this supposed to be. Shouldn't the tiger be their fucking mascot or something? I discussed on my own show. I never usually do that. I don't get that. Whatever. Hey, he's joined the Dark Order, though. I mean, whatever works. Whatever works. For my co-host, James, I am Cody. Appreciate you guys tuning in this week. We shall see you guys next week again here on Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. Have a great rest of your day, night, evening. Stay safe, stay healthy out there. We're getting through this thing together. We're getting through with it. But on that, guys, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next week.